Thank you so much, Christian. Thank you all for being here and for helping to fight for this issue that I don't think a lot of Americans understand how serious it truly is. As a Native Assyrian human rights activist, I advocate for the Native Christians, and especially women and children in the Middle East from facing an upcoming extinction. I survived the Assyrian genocide in Iraq that has no end date. By leaving our home and everything behind, we have suffered over 100 genocides because we don't have an Assyrian Christian state in Iraq yet. If anyone knows about genocide, it is myself and my vulnerable and dying Native people in Iraq and Syria. As you know, today, there are less than 200,000 Christians left in Iraq, where at one point, we were over 20 million in our homelands. The whole Middle East was prosperous because of Christianity and the real free will. Without being politically correct, my friends, and I'm just speaking the truth from many generations of experience, I'm very saddened to say these genocides have happened because of radical Islam. I understand that this is a very sensitive topic for many, and especially for Representative Ilhan Omar of Minnesota's 5th District. I was born in the Middle East and from Iraq, and I do have friends who are Muslims. The ones I am friends with even understand the real threat that's happening in Minnesota. I had to see what Ilhan is harboring and not addressing the red flags of the initiation of Sharia law in her district on American soil. Similar to the terrorists she defended and other terrorists from Minnesota's hometown who took parts in the genocide by becoming suicide bombers, and they were described as dying on the battlefield. And this is against my people in Iraq who she's supporting. Ilhan, how dare you defend the 6 Somalis in 2015 who were trying to cross into Mexico in an attempt to join ISIS so they can murder my people in Iraq and Syria. As their case had moved forward in 2016 in hopes that our judicial system would find justice and put them behind bars, she wrote a letter to the trial judge demanding compassion and a lighter sentence. A representative of our country asking for a lighter sentence for terrorists. My friends, Ilhan wrote, the best deterrent to fanatics is a system of compassion. Really, Ilhan? The best deterrent to fanatics is a lighter compassion? This is how we deal with people like Osama bin Laden? You want to show compassion to terrorists who have destroyed 125 of our churches in Iraq alone and coldly slaughtered thousands of innocent Christians and other minorities under the mask of ISIS. But this is just a mask today for that same ideology. You reason, Ilhan, with terrorists, which makes you a threat to our very American national security. In my eyes and from my knowledge and what I have seen and through my investigations, this would only make her an accomplice of genocidal acts by sympathizing with terrorists and feeling mercy for terrorists. Ilhan, does this not mean that you think Daesh or ISIS attacks against Christians is a victory? Ilhan, and trust me when I have many friends who are Muslims, but they have real reason. You proudly wear your hijab or your scarf in the US, while we as women are persecuted in our countries in the Middle East under the Sharia law for wearing crosses. My cross as a child was ripped off my neck because I'm an Assyrian Christian. Where is your outrage? Where is your outrage, Ilhan, for real women's rights? And what about what your brothers have been doing to our people for centuries? My great-grandmother watched pregnant women get stabbed in the abdomen.
Oh my God.
Stabbed in the abdomen right in front of her. She was my only surviving family member. Babies pulled out of their stomachs. This was not too long ago, my friends. This is less than 100 years ago. All because my family was Christian. My great-grandfathers were crucified on crosses. Did you think it ended in Jesus Christ's time?
No, it didn't.
My great-grandfather was crucified on crosses because they wore solid gold crosses. Because they were Syrians and Christians. Let me guess, Ilhan, did you consider their killers as freedom fighters? Did you want compassion for those terrorists? I would be thrown in bomb bunkers with my siblings when radical Islam terrorists would roam through our towns, wanting to kidnap young girls, and so many of our Christian brothers and sisters were brutally killed because we were so vulnerable under the Sharia law that even their own Muslims were vulnerable under the Sharia law, and many were killed. The Middle East has gone back 1,000 years, and maybe even more, because of mentalities like yours, Ilhan. How dare you speak about genocide, Ilhan? Ilhan, as an American, as an Assyrian, as a Christian, who has made the United States of America my safe haven, I'm extremely concerned about your district's ties to international terrorism, and beyond frightened of your 5th district being the terrorism recruitment capital of the United States of America. I had to see your district with my own eyes before I believed anything, and witness what is actually happening right here in one of our states in Minnesota. Ilhan, you grilled Venezuela's envoy, Elliot Abrams, during the hearing in the Foreign Affairs Committee, which I found to be very interesting in the words you were asking. You said to him, under your watch, a genocide took place, and you looked the other way because American interests were being upheld. Without even giving him an opportunity to answer you, you also said, this is a fair question, and the American people want to know that anytime we engage a country that we think about our actions can be and our values are being advanced. I believe you made a big mistake by misrepresenting the subject of pure genocide. How dare you bring up the subject of genocide consistently when you support Sharia law, which has brought my people to a near extinction? What the American people really need to know is that under the Sharia law, my people are hung, raped, crucified, purged off of our indigenous homelands that we've been on for almost 7,000 years, and unjustly executed for having a crime of being Native and being Christian. Ilhan Omar, you don't hold the real perpetrators of genocide accountable because you are linked to them. While we allow women to be included in our society in America, in Sharia law, ruled countries, women are traded in mass sex slavery. Just imagine one of these women are your mothers, your sisters, your daughters. That is the only way we can help Americans understand what a real threat this is when they actually think this can happen to one of their family members. And that's when reality hits you. Women and young girls are raped regularly if they even show skin, and that is not acceptable under the Sharia law. I have cousins and family members and that were called whores because they showed this part of their arm in Iraq. Imagine, in a country where one day they were wearing miniskirts. It is truly because of people like Ilhan when the government is infiltrated and it starts this way, because it happened in Iraq and it happened against us. Iraq used to be a country where Jews lived freely, where Assyrian Christians lived freely, where even Armenians were there, and even moderate Muslims lived until Sharia law took place and everyone was affected. This is a threat to all Americans, and Americans truly need to understand that this will affect you one day if you don't make a change right now. People like myself who have known and know what it is about to witness a genocide and seen how the signs of genocide actually starts, I'm demanding for your resignation, Ilhan, so that people like you never attack the real victims of genocide and the descendants of genocide. On March 14th, 2016, Congress passed by a historic, undivided 393 votes to 0, House Continuing Resolution 75, recognizing the ongoing genocide of Christians. and other religious minorities under ISIS, as Ilhan's 5th district was the terrorist recruitment capital of the country. How did Americans vote her in? I'm not sure. My question to Congress is, why did you all sign unanimously? Why did you all sign to protect us from a genocide when some of you are supporting representatives like Ilhan Omar right here on our American soil and showing compassion for terrorists who were caught in her district? If my own brother is caught as a terrorist, I will put him in jail. Let alone you are catching terrorists in your own district and you are asking the judge for a lighter sentence. What happened to my people in Iraq and Syria cannot be reversed unless a state is given to them. But we are here because of God to give you a warning as Americans. Right. We are here to tell you this is coming here and it is here and it will affect you. It will affect everyone. It will even affect the moderate Muslims in America. You will see your daughters get beheaded. Okay, I interviewed hundreds and hundreds of families of all religions, everyone that was affected by the genocide in Iraq, and they watched family members get executed right in front of them. And that's when reality hit them and they knew it was too late and that Sharia law had taken full control of that country, the cradle of civilization. And Ilhan, I will not stop until you resign. Your anti-Semitism is unacceptable. Okay, your ties to terrorism, your possible ties and your sympathy for radicals is unacceptable. You need to resign now. As someone born in the Middle East, that grew up in the Middle East, you need to resign right now. Well, your behavior is unacceptable. And I think what is more unacceptable are all the American congressmen and senators who are supporting her, knowing what is happening in Minnesota's 5th district. And if you don't know, I highly advise you to take a trip to Minnesota's 5th district and you will see what's happening. You won't even think you're in America. God bless you. God bless the United States. And thank you, Rob, for holding us all together.